I have another card from Beth DeCaprio.
Hello. My name is Beth DeCaprio, and in 2011 I was contacted by Pete Heimbigner from Public Works regarding a case of animal cruelty involving a group of horses at the Whispering Pines property. And as we have done for many counties in all over California, nationally for the Humane Society of the United States, we came to the aid of Lassen County. We came, we helped with the investigation. I have our therapist on site. She did a report. Our veterinarian did a report. And we assisted with the removal of 20 relinquished horses from Mr. Bennett's property. With that, we built a case that could be tried. And we encouraged Mr. Heimbigner to do the right thing when we found 23 dead horses on the property. We never went to the media. We did nothing but support the county of Lassen, as we have done for every other county that we have worked with. In August or late July of 2011, we were contacted by Mr. Heimbigner because there was a foreclosure happening on the property. And we were asked if we would assist Wells Fargo and Bank of America and the county of Lassen again in the removal of the remaining horses. And as we had done before, we agreed to help. We went into negotiations. We did everything in good faith. And on August 26th, now let me back up. On August 19th, after Mr. Heimbigner attended a hearing for Mr. Bennett, a contempt of court hearing, where Mr. Bennett, stated in court that he had filed bankruptcy and that bankruptcy stayed any action that took place. We went to a meeting, not at lunch, not anywhere in court. We met at Ms. Lozano, the receiver for the Whispering Pines property. We met at her office, and we went as we were told, as we did because we believed this to be the case. We went and we inventoried the horses, and we agreed which horses we would be getting ownership of and which horses we would be getting into a protective custody situation. Never once would I have questioned the integrity of Lassen County or Mr. Heimbigner. And we in good faith then drove with a group of our volunteers and the Folsom police, who we housed their horses at no cost for. We came and we removed those horses and were given a piece of paper from Public Works Department with a signature of Pete Heimbigner for final disposition of 32 horses. Final disposition, as you will see, final means the final act. Disposition of disposing of property. That is full legal rights, ownership of those animals. What we didn't know is that bankruptcy had stayed the possibility of that act happening. And that act is, without any explanation from Mr. Heimbigner, it is an act of grand theft. They removed personal property of somebody else's and gave it to an organization that had come to their aid. For the last 2 years, I have worked around the clock to provide care for this group of animals. I have bankrupted our organization because I couldn't allow Lassen County or the banks to take possession of these animals and allow them to perish. We had 22 pregnant horses, all of which we were supposed to be able to terminate the pregnancies of. I watched 7 foals die. I watched 1 foal die after 2 hours of trying to revive him in front of a Girl Scout troop. I did this because we work with kids with special needs. We work with kids from all walks of life. Over 5,000 kids a year we've worked with until this disgraceful act that has destroyed our organization. But the entire time, even when publicly Mr. Heimbigner went on record and said, if we get the horses back, we will euthanize these animals. Not legal, but that's what they said. All I have asked for the entire time is to be reimbursed for the care of the horses that we were illegally given ownership of. That isn't as bad as what happened in this last month. When we went to a deposition, and let me back up. In 2012, we billed Lassen County for the care of the animals that we were promised by a very corrupt attorney that's working for the banks. And there probably are a lot of things that Mr. Heimdinger was told. It's your responsibility to rectify the situation with Wells Fargo and Bank of America, not ours. We billed you. We asked for nothing but the cost of the care. That's what we asked for. 2 years later, 2.5 years later, we are still in possession of these animals. We are still scraping by every month, asking our citizens to help us, to plead to care for these animals. And what we found out at the deposition was that Mr. Heimdinger stated the animals were never abused. There was no crime. There was no reason for any reason for those horses to be removed. Okay, I understood that. The receiver was in place 6 weeks. Horses were looking better. Totally understood that, but how did they possibly take the animals? How could that be legal? On mid-December of 2013, we received the criminal charges of Mr. Bennett. Up until that point, we had not had those. Imagine my surprise after Mr. Heimdinger's testimony to find out that the charges, all 71 counts, state from May 2009 to August 26, 2011, Mr. Bennett did commit these acts of penalty of 597B, animal cruelty and neglect, felony charges. That is the day that Lassen County gave us ownership of those horses. Before ever talking to any media, before talking to anybody, I contacted Mr. Burns. I wrote him a letter and said, clarify this. Are those horses part of the horses that we are in possession of today? Are they part of the case? He stated that he couldn't discuss this with me because we were in litigation together. So I gave him an 84-page document from the National District Attorney Association that spelled out how charges have to be, the investigation and prosecution for animal cruelty. I encouraged him to contact our counsel, and I encouraged him to tell me just straight up, tell me the truth, just once. Somebody tell me the truth. That it took until 2 days ago for me to confirm, even though I had the National District Attorney Association said there was no possible way the charges could be filed in this case if our horses were not part of it. But not one person, not Retta, not one person contacted me to have the decency to tell me that I was holding evidence in a 71, well, I guess now it's 56 count, felony animal cruelty case. It took me contacting the public defender, Mr. Bennett's attorney, to finally get the evidence to support the fact that, in fact, the entire time, these horses were part of the evidence of this case. I have been holding evidence for a government agency at my expense. I have bankrupted an organization for you. And you, Lassen County, didn't have the decency to tell me that. You didn't have the decency to not break the law and say that you were going to euthanize these animals or violate Mr. Bennett's civil rights and try not only to give his property away, to throw him in jail and give him away. I am not a fan of Mr. Bennett. I think Bennett's guilty of what he did. I am ashamed of the acts that I have seen happen in Lassen County. And I pray to God, as I am sitting here today and I am coming to you, that you have no idea what's happened. Because somebody needs to make this situation right. And I will tell you that after 2 years of watching those animals and seeing the kids that beg us to make sure that they don't go back to the bad man, that they don't die. I promise you one thing, as I am sitting here today, we will resolve this, and we will be fully reimbursed for all costs and all damages that associated with this. And I will be happy if you all have the courage to stand up and right this wrong. I would be more than happy to work with a county that has the ethics and to morals to stand up and do that. But it will be resolved. And it will be resolved with all of you, with the mechanics lien and the cost of services that I provided today, and it will be resolved right away. And at 11 o'clock, I will go over and I will hand the information that I have to the public defender that will take away a lot of the charges because it is the right thing to do. And we can be a model for moving forward. Or we can play this out in the media. And we can play on the fact that an appellate judge just said, once again, Lassen County fails to get the law correct. We can hit on every negative. I can talk about everything that's happened. Or you can look at the evidence. I will be sending you a document that has every document attached detailing what happened. And it will have every question that needs to be asked in a third-party investigation. 28 horses died under the watchful eye of Lassen County Animal Control. You may not yourselves have a belief that those animals deserve the care or the protection, but I do. And there's a lot of citizens in Lassen County who do. And we need to find out why this happened, and we need to make sure it doesn't happen again. So I have attached a breakdown of the costs. Please be aware that we have contacted Lassen County, and we are very well aware of the costs that you have charged and the costs that are involved. These are our costs. At the time that we took over the horses, the receiver was in place at $190 an hour. And I will tell you that I feel bad. I think Mr. Heimbigner and your county council and a lot of other people became an innocent victim of some malicious acts of some big-powered people. Again, it's not my job to fight that battle for you. So I'm asking you and I'm pleading with you to do the right thing. And I want to know, and I want you to think about, that 2 years ago, apparently, or maybe less, you asked for a report from Mr. Heimbigner on the ramifications of a case like this, of what the cost would be to the county had there be a big cruelty case or animals that had to be taken in. And I don't know, and only those of you here know how much that influenced what has happened and what's transpired in the last 2 years. But in doing the right thing 2 years ago, or actually in 2009, and I am apparently going to receive information today that the investigation actually started for animal cruelty in 2007. But had the proper things been done for these animals that long ago, we would not be standing here today. So I appreciate very much your time. Again, I pray to God that this is the first you're hearing of it. We have 48 hours to make a decision. I will not continue to care for these animals without being reimbursed for services. This case needs to be resolved, and even with a misdemeanor plea, the horses can be relinquished and they can be rehomed. But up until this point, there is no way from August to October 27th, when these charges were filed, there was nothing that allowed those horses to be removed. There was no orders that were done, and the horses are whether you like it or not, they are evidence in the case. You have the ability, Lassen County has the ability to ask for restitution if criminal charges are, if at the end of the case, if he is convicted. But under 597, the violations of the seizing laws, none of those laws were filed correctly when the seizure, which means in those laws, the county in which the officer that did that is in charge. You also broke the ordinance. You have 28 dead horses still sitting on that property. Possibly, I heard that they may have just been removed, but that is a violation of your own county ordinances. It is also a violation of your own county ordinances that Mr. Heibigner was handling in this case. So I know you have many bigger fish to fry, but you need to start with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You were talking about your organization. What organization do you represent? You never did
The
say.
Grace Foundation, Northern California.
We actually have that item on our to discuss.
Right, I know, and that's why I'm here today.
And normally we don't, it's public comment, but I did want you to, and I did personally see and review the emails. Actually, I'm starting to learn about this just from a week ago, not now.
Okay.
And I saw the stuff
And I would
this
be-
week, and I share your passion. We need to make sure it's done correctly and get to the bottom of it.
And I will be.
Thank you for coming, but we do need to.
Okay.
do it.
I will be sending all of you a file that includes all of the information with the exhibits that you can do. And I very much appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone else to public comment? If not, we're going to quickly go into closed session. Do you want an outside to be discussed in closed session?